you know how I know that last episode's video was a lot? I was thinking of recording another episode, and then I thought, maybe I should just clean the bathroom first. And then I did. So yeah, the last episode was a lot. If you want to check that out, just be aware that there is a content warning, so check out the description of that video before you watch it. But yeah, the best way to conquer something is to confront it. So let's go ahead and do another Reddit reaction video, and this time I won't take the lucky dip on the homepage. We will go to our trusty Am I the Asshole, which seems to be the one. Okie dokie, what have we got? Am I the asshole for getting someone fired for high-fiving me? I think you might be, but did they sneeze on their hand first? Am I the asshole for getting someone fired for high-fiving me? I'm a 26-year-old female and I'm travelling around Asia for a few months. I'm staying in hostels as it's cheap and a nice way to meet people. However, I wear fake engagement rings so that people don't hit on me. I've recently moved to a new hostel and one of the employees/volunteers introduced himself, Joe, which is a fake name, but it's a male in his late 20s, who spends his time moving between a few of the hostels in the area. However, he told me this is his favourite place to live, which is why he keeps coming back. Immediately, Joe came across a bit creepy, with super intense eye contact and asking me where I was going when I got up from the social space to go to my bedroom. Over the next day, he seemed to keep finding excuses to touch me, which I found very uncomfortable. He went for high fives, then kept hold of my hand. Oh, he gave me round the neck hugs for ridiculous things, like me saying I was trying to cut down on my plastic use, and he came up and massaged my bare shoulders while I was ordering breakfast, as I was wearing a tank top. He also tried to follow me on Instagram, which I never gave him, and don't know how he found me. I don't even know this guy and only met him yesterday. Jesus fucking Christ. This is not about a high five. Not in the slightest. I heard from some of the other girls in the hostel that they have had the same experience and also find him creepy. Anyway, in the past when I've called men out, they've become aggressive or accused me of leading them on, so I don't always feel comfortable doing that anymore. So I spoke to one of the female employees at the hostel anonymously to ask them to talk to him about the uncomfortable behaviour. Later that day, I overheard him talking in the social area, saying that he's been asked to move to a different hostel at the week's end and will not be allowed to come back. He said whoever made a complaint is an asshole for not just talking to him themselves and instead getting him fired. I disagree. While I stand by that his behaviour was creepy, I didn't intend to get him fired, so I'm the asshole for not just plucking up the courage to say something to his face. Absolutely fucking not, and I'm going to tell you why. Because what is absolutely fucking ridiculous about this society in 2023 is that instead of teaching men not to be creepy and disgusting and aggressive and make other people feel unsafe, we teach women to change the way they dress, change the way they act, change the way they behave, to smile more and all this bullshit stuff. So it's absolutely no wonder that you felt more comfortable speaking to a member of staff anonymously, because even if you speak to a member of staff but give your name, it's likely to get back to the person. So I completely understand why you did that instead of just confronting the guy, because not only is he this motherfucking creepy after one day, could even be less than 24 hours, he's doing that to multiple other people, and he knows where you're sleeping at night. This is essentially where you're living for right now, and he has the keys to everything. So absolutely not about a high five, and absolutely not the asshole. This is disgusting, but it's not uncommon. Not at all. Like, I don't even want to go into it anymore, but yeah, unfortunately this is a common occurrence for women, and OP is not the asshole. Next. Oh yeah, and it wasn't their intention to get them fired, but I do think that the hostel took appropriate action in this case, and he wasn't actually fired, he was just told to move to a different branch, so to say. So yeah, it's not as bad as they make it out. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancée she looked weird in our wedding night? I don't know. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancée that she looked weird on our wedding night, I'm presuming? So throwaway account, because obviously So OP is a 32-year-old male and has been dating Sarah, who is a 29-year-old female, for over 2 years, and says, I love her to death and she means the world to me. Also, she is a person who's comfortable with her skin and doesn't use a lot of makeup, which I really adore about her, and we always tell the truth to each other no matter what. Okay, this is good context. Oh, it was only yesterday, fuck, and you're already on Reddit. Yesterday was her wedding, and the moment I saw her there, I was shocked. She used a huge amount of makeup that I barely recognised her without hearing her voice. She saw my facial expression that I was acting a little out of the ordinary, and she asked me what's wrong. I told her that it's nothing, but she looked a little weird with all that makeup in her face. On her face. And I think the word you're looking for is different. Okay? Weird has a lot of implications. She tried to laugh it off and started talking to her other friends. To be honest, at that moment, I really didn't think I said something wrong or anything, especially she didn't say anything. Especially as she didn't say anything. However, when we went home, she started to give me the cold shoulder treatment. I told her what's wrong, and she said it's nothing and she doesn't feel well, she's tired, and so on. To be honest, I think she's hiding something, and that got me wondering if what I said may be the reason. So am I the asshole? Edit. Thank you everyone. I realised how I totally fucked up and how my comment was misinterpreted. I will apologise to her and try to fix things. I mean, I can relate to the situation in terms of I can't even remember the last time I wore makeup, and whenever I wear it, it's because I'm like going out, and I just feel like it, you know? Even a lot of the times when I go out, I still don't put on any makeup. And I'm the kind of person who I would always prefer to be hurt by the truth than a lie. And so to give an example, I don't think I'm overweight by any means, but I've always had a very pregnant looking stomach, and I'm fine with that. I'm okay with people pointing it out. If anything, I prefer it because then it makes me feel like they're going to be more honest with me about other stuff, okay? So that's the kind of person I am. So it sounds as if this couple are kind of similar. And I can understand as well how when OP saw his bride wife-to-be standing, you know, there or walking down the aisle or whatever with a face full of makeup, which she is not used to seeing, I can understand how that could be like, oh, what's going on? You know, he's expecting like, oh, I'm about to see the love of my life in this very special moment. And then he's like, here, is that her? And doesn't even, you know, fully know until she speaks and he hears her voice. But as I say, when she asked what was wrong, I think the word you were looking for was different. You just looked a bit different, you know, like, oh, you look like, you know, that, different, you know, oh, I'm not used to seeing you like that, you look lovely, it's just not what I'm used to or whatever, you know. Weird definitely implies that like there was something wrong with her face, and that not only you, but everyone that she loves and cares about who can make it to the wedding also saw her looking weird. You know what I mean? That being said, if this is the kind of relationship and communication style that you have, I do think that it's a little bit unnecessary to then be like giving the cold shoulder and stuff. Like, I'm not into cold shoulder. However, I can understand that if you are feeling like annoyed or upset enough that you just don't even want to bring it up right now because you want to like just feel your feelings first, then maybe unintentionally you can give a bit of the cold shoulder. I can understand that. And especially, you know, with wedding night and typical wedding night activities, maybe she was like, I'm not in the fucking mood for that, don't try, you know? But it could have also been something else entirely. Maybe she was just tired, you know? So I don't think you were the asshole, but I do think that you misspoke. And I think that as much as it's on you to be tactful with your words, I also think it's on her that if you were to say, what's wrong, is it because I said that? If it actually is because you said that, then she should say that and not pretend that it's not because of that. You know what I mean? So awkward start to the marriage, but I mean, it's just a small thing, and I'm sure, you know, it's something that you'll easily be able to get over, and then you'll laugh about it, you know? You'll laugh about it. You'll be like, you know, one of the first things he said to me after we got married is, your face looks weird, you know? Make it a fun story like that, but nah, I think it's fine. And I think it's nice that OP is, you know, at least after the fact, trying to be a little bit conscious of like, fuck, that's probably because I said something stupid, and is wanting already to apologise for it. That's good. So not the asshole there. Am I the asshole for not letting my kids stay somewhere I am not allowed to darken the door? What, as in like, don't darken my doorstep? As in don't be on my doorstep? What? I don't know what this is. Am I the asshole for not letting my kid stay somewhere where I am not allowed to darken the door? Okay, says OP, I'm a 30-year-old female with a 9-year-old son. I've had an extremely close relationship with my dad my entire life. He's always been my best friend. I have my own home and job and life, but we talk multiple times a day, Jesus Christ. And he's very involved with my son. That's just how it's always been. Fair enough. So he started dating someone a year ago, and I won't lie, I was not a fan from the beginning. I recognise some of that may be subconscious jealousy because he's been single most of my life, but seriously, she's the worst. Very controlling, moving in after a month, taking over his money and finding fault in all of his relationships other than theirs. She instigates arguments every chance she gets, and somehow I am always the bad guy just because we are around. She slowly made it to where my son and I see less and less of my dad. Then she texted me one weekend and told me that I need to stop coming to his house on Sunday nights, which has been our family dinner night for as long as I can remember, because she has to work Monday mornings. Mind you, I fucking grew up in this house, and I was definitely snippy with my response. Mostly just telling her it wasn't her place to tell me that. Now my dad won't allow me in his home until I apologise to her. This has been about a month ago, and he wants my son to come spend the night and he misses him, but I can't come inside. This is really fucking immature. This is so immature. He spent the night regularly his entire life, but now I'm not even allowed to bring him in and get him settled. I gotta just drop him in the driveway. I am petty and am I petty for ridiculous and not wanting my kids somewhere where I'm not welcome? I'm getting mixed responses from friends and other family. Edits, I haven't cut his communication off from my son. They FaceTime often, just the overnights. Also, I think this is being blown up with the family so much because he spent overnights and weekends with my dad since he was born. But now that I'm not allowed there, I have cut them off. And it's worth mentioning, my dad is not broke. Why? What does money have to do with anything? Anyway, just to answer the question real quick, I don't think you're being the asshole here. I think it's completely immature, like the way that the father is behaving. I think it was out of line for the new girlfriend to say, like, you're not allowed to come over on Sunday nights anymore. I think that if the two of them had decided, maybe that's not the best night, then I think that he should have been the one to say, hey, Sunday nights actually isn't the best for us anymore because what's her face has to work in the morning. How about we move it to X night instead? You know, not just stop coming around to your dad's place. You know, that's a bit fucking whatever. And then the dad is clearly under some sort of spell. If then purely based on that, he's going to say to his daughter, you're not allowed in my house anymore. And it's been a month. That's really immature. That's just whatever. And I don't think it's unreasonable for a parent to say, I'm not comfortable with my child being in a place where I am not physically allowed to enter. What if there's any kind of like safety situation? What if the son just needs to be comforted? What if the son is uncomfortable with the tension there? You know, just all these things. It's like, it's just not a healthy environment. I think that if the OP was actually still allowed to go over, but just, you know, it was all very tense, then fine, whatever, she's still allowed to go in if anything happens. But to be like, no, you have to like literally just let him get out of the car in the driveway and then go off, like that's really immature. Again, for safety reasons, I don't think it's unreasonable to be like, I'm not comfortable with that. Don't get me wrong, I think if it's about punishing people, then that's equally immature, but I don't think that's what it's about here. I think it's just, like, how can you be okay with, like, just letting your young child stay somewhere where you're literally not allowed to go? I think that's silly. And as well, clearly the new girlfriend has a certain amount of power over OP's dad. So previously, they were obviously very close and she was able to trust him a lot, and the son stayed over there frequently without her there. But with this new person in his life that's having such a big influence and already changing his existing close relationships, I'm sorry, but you don't know what's going to go down in that house anymore. And if you're not allowed in, how can you even inspect the situation and see? You know? Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for telling my husband off? Is that going to be boring? It sounds a bit boring. Oh, this one's already tagged with not the asshole. That ruins it a bit, it spoils it a bit. Am I the asshole for telling my son he needs to get over his brother's girlfriend? His girlfriend looks like, what? I don't like these ones where I can't even fucking understand what they're saying. I'm being more selective today just because I fucking feel like it, okay? Would I be the asshole? Is that? If I asked my girlfriend to stop squeezing me when I drive us places? I think probably not. But let's see. Am I the asshole if I ask my girlfriend to stop squeezing me when I drive us places? So the backstory is that OP is a 37-year-old male and his girlfriend, who is a 34-year-old female, and he were in a bus crash last November. OP says, my girlfriend broke her hip in two places and didn't walk for 2 months. Obviously this has affected her mental health as well as her physical health. I came out of it relatively unscathed. I have a trapped nerve in my left shoulder and elbow that affects my finger dexterity, but not even close to the pain and trauma she suffered. I was with her the whole way through the recovery. I cleaned her bedpans, I changed her sheets, I took time off work to look after and care for her, and I never thought twice about it because that's what we do for those we love, and I do love her. Here comes the problem. I drive a motorbike. When we go places, she will still sit on the back. She is understandably very scared and nervous of me being on the road. I drive slowly, 40 kilometers per hour max. That's really slow. I mean, I guess it depends what type of road you're on, but yeah. Whenever she sees someone on the pavement, she starts squeezing me with her legs. Sees a car driving even slightly erratically, she squeezes me. If she sees another motorbike coming out of an alleyway, she squeezes me with her legs. When she squeezes me, I immediately assume something is wrong, that she might see a potential accident that I don't see. I get flustered and I think it's dangerous. It puts me on edge and unbalances me a little, which is dangerous on a motorbike. In addition to that, we live in Southeast Asia and it's hot as balls out here and the squeezing makes it even hotter, but that's a minor issue for me. It's more about safety. We've talked about therapy for both of us, but it's just not in our budget as we're still paying off hospital bills. That fucking sucks. Would I be the asshole if I asked her to stop squeezing me when I drive? I wouldn't be shouting at her or anything, just ask her and explain to her that it's dangerous and ask her to try to stop. I feel like I'd be an asshole considering everything that she's been through. I don't think you'd be an asshole, but I think you really need to keep in mind that this is like 99% not something that she's doing on purpose. This is just a reaction that people have when they're scared. They tense up. Like, I don't think she's choosing to do this. Therefore, asking her to stop probably isn't going to help the situation because she's not doing it on purpose. Like, don't get me wrong, I understand that it's like, oh shit, like it makes you feel like there's something wrong and that is dangerous. But I think the solution is that maybe she just shouldn't ride on the bike with you anymore, you know, until she at least feels a little bit more comfortable. Maybe you can get a sidecar or whatever. But this isn't something that she's likely going to be able to control. So you wouldn't be an asshole by asking her, but I think it would show a lack of understanding for the situation that she's in. Despite the fact that you're obviously very supportive, I think maybe you don't quite get it, which again doesn't make you an asshole, but I don't think just asking her to stop is a solution in this situation at all. I think you need to look at other options. Again, it really, really sucks that you're still having to pay hospital bills, so you can't afford therapy right now. I don't know if maybe there's some so maybe like group therapy situations where it's free or at least much cheaper. You know, I know a lot of like communities or organizations, you know, that are for specific things, like road accidents, for example. Maybe they have some free, cheaper group therapies that you can join to at least start working through those issues, which are completely understandable because it seems like it was a very serious accident. But yeah, I don't think this is a solution, just to ask her to stop, because yeah, don't need to repeat myself over and over again. I don't think she can help it. So not the asshole, but not the right way to go, in my opinion. And I'm also very like nervous in these things as well. Like even just going on the back of a fucking electric scooter, I'm nervous, you know. So I wouldn't even get on a motorbike with someone. But then I know that I wouldn't want to do it, so I don't do it. So I don't know what situation that you're in, that maybe she feels like she doesn't have any other choice but to go on the back of the bike with you. But I don't think it's good for either of you right now. I think you should, yeah, as I say, like either she drives herself some other way, or like you get a little sidecar or something like that. But that's not going to be a practical situation, certainly in the short term. Okay, what else? Everyone's using this whipta. Not everyone, 2 people, but I've only seen it once before. Would I be the asshole if I made my wedding no children, even if it pisses off my family? No, absolutely not. I'm not going to bother reading this one because I've talked about it recently, not on video, but with a friend. No, it's your wedding, it's your choice. If you don't want the kids there, then it's completely up to you. Next. Am I the asshole for saying my girlfriend's new tattoos are all right? Nah, if they're only okay, they're only okay. I want one that seems more interesting to read it into, you know. I feel like we haven't got that much juicy ones so far. I asked my sister not to come out as queer to her grandparents at my wedding. She's already out to the rest of the family. I think you might be a wee bit of an asshole there, but depends on the situation, let's say. Am I the asshole since I asked my sister not to come out as queer to her grandparents at my wedding? She's already out to the rest of the family. So for some context, my sister has found her identity later in life. So she's in her 40s, and as of 6 months ago came out as queer. She's in a very serious relationship, and she moved herself and her 2 children in with her new partner after a couple of months, and they are now engaged. That's very fast, but fair enough. With the first person she dated when she came out and joined the queer apps. Okay, so she hasn't had a lot of experience, like having found her new gender or sexual identity, let's say, and the first person she dated, she's already moved in with them and gotten engaged, is what this person is getting at. Historically, my sister has a tendency to move into relationships at this speed, sometimes even quicker. They usually end when she realises she didn't know the person well enough before marrying or moving in with them, and makes vows to not move so quickly the next time. So, the gender is different this time around, but the timeline is about the same. She is out to her immediate family, including aunts and uncles. We come from a scarily conservative Christian fundamentalist family, and they have reacted exactly as one might expect. It's heartbreaking, but not surprising. The only members of the family who don't know are my elderly grandparents, who are also incredibly conservative and homophobic. My feelings about them are complicated because of their views, but I still give a fuck about them. My sister let me know tonight that she will not lie to anyone at my wedding weekend, and my grandparents are bound to find out. My mother's one request when my sister came out to them was that she not share this part of herself with my grandparents, who my sister sees maybe once every other year, so it's not like they're close. When my sister told me she's planning on coming out to my grandparents at my wedding, I point blank asked her not to. I am the only member of her family who celebrated her coming out and have maintained a regular relationship with her. I just want this one weekend not to be centred around her identity as a queer person, and instead to just be as peaceful and fun as it possibly can be. Almost every conversation I've had with my family ends up with me defending and affirming her identity. I don't say this to say she owes me, but to communicate that most of mine and my fiancé's engagement period has been centred around the conflict between them. I asked her to just chill for the wedding and that she lie/slash him to my grandparents for the weekend. Her fiancé is working that weekend and won't be attending anyway. She cried and said that she's done bearing the burden of hiding who she is, and if she comes out, she comes out. She said that my grandparents were part of the people that forced her to hide who she is, so she doesn't give a fuck if they're upset about it. I just want this one weekend to not be centred on her. I feel like asking this automatically marks me as a bigot, and yet I stand by this one request. One weekend in my life that is about celebrating me and my fiancé. Am I the asshole? Those of you who either know me personally or have been watching my videos for a while know that I'm very I'm pan myself, But, you know, in general, I'm very much supportive of the LGBTQIA plus communities. However, I don't think OP is being unreasonable here, because it sounds like, you know, OP is supportive of sister and is one of the only people in the family who is supportive. But having said that, throughout the whole engagement, all the wedding planning, making all the arrangements, every time she talks to the family, it's always about the sister and never about her and her fiancé and the wedding, which is like, okay, fair enough, whatever. But on the wedding day, on the day of the wedding, is it really necessary for someone that you only see once every 2 years, who's very conservative and very homophobic, for them to be told something which will almost certainly set them off and make a scene? I don't think it's unreasonable to say, hey, can you maybe even, like, just wait till the next day, you know? It's not saying don't ever tell them. I'm just saying, can you not do it specifically on my wedding day? I don't think that's unreasonable. However, I wouldn't have asked the sister to lie. That I would say, can you either, like, avoid them, use they all the time, you know, just not tell them stuff, find a reason to leave, like, oh, sorry, that person's, you know, you know, just like try and find ways to not be in the situation where the grandparents are going to find out. Like, clearly the rest of the family also doesn't want the grandparents to find out, which I think it would be a wee bit shitty to ask, like, for the parents to ask, can you just not tell your grandparents? Unless for the fact that they're not close anyway and they don't see each other anyway. But it sounds as if it could also be very cathartic and healing for the sister to come out to them as a way of, like, look, I hid my true self because of you, and now I'm not going to do that anymore. I think that's totally, like, yeah, fucking go for it. But not on your sister's wedding day. Like, I get it, this is a big thing. You don't want to hide yourself anymore. I don't think you should have to. But this one day, I think it's okay for OP to ask that, to be honest. As I say, I wouldn't have asked them to lie, but I would have, you know, said, like, can you just, like, try and avoid them or whatever, just, you know, avoid the questions and stuff like that. But I think it's okay for a bride and groom, or I don't even know if it's groom, but for people who are getting married to say, I would like this day to be about us. Not the asshole, but it is a little bit of a tricky one, but yeah, I'm with you on that, to be honest. Let's try and find one more that's a little bit juicy. Am I the asshole for telling my mum she can't trade my ring in? It's your ring, so probably not. Someone's the asshole. Am I the asshole for unfolding my clothes because my wife accidentally folded them the wrong way? I'm interested to see why this person was dubbed an asshole, because I don't immediately see it. Honestly. I don't immediately see it. Am I the asshole for unfolding my clothes because my wife accidentally folded my clothes the wrong way? So my wife, who's a 29-year-old female, and I, who is a 31-year-old male, have been married for 5 years and have 3 kids that are 3, 2, and almost 2 months old. I work and she stays at home to take care of the kids. She's a great wife and mum, and I love her. Whenever she does laundry, she rolls and puts my clothes on hangers. Rolls and puts on hangers? What? Anyway, rolls and puts clothes on hangers, and I put them away. Yesterday when I got home from work, she handed me my basket of clothes, but instead of them being rolled, they were folded. How can you put a rolled t-shirt on a hanger? I think maybe this is separate things. Some things are folded and some things are put in a drawer. This is like not important to me, but this I'm particular about this because, like, anyone who's ever seen, like, my drawers or my cupboards or my wardrobe or whatever, it's very organized, it's very specific, and I don't want people touching it. So yeah, instead of them being rolled, they were folded. I asked why, and she said she just forgot and did them like everyone else's. I said that was fine, and I went in her room and unfolded the clothes and laid them on the bed, planning on rolling them back up. However, I realised I didn't have the time because I had to go to work on a presentation, so I went to my office and started working. My wife came in a while after that and asked why I had unfolded my clothes. I said because I wanted them to be rolled and I was going to do it, but I realised I needed to finish some work. I asked her if she could please re-roll them and she just walked out. She came back with a basket of all my clothes and just dumped them on the ground in my office and called me an asshole and told me to do it myself. I think that it wasn't an unreasonable request because she takes care of things around the house and I've had the same preference for my laundry our entire marriage. I work hard to provide her and our children with a very privileged life, and I don't think properly rolled laundry is asking for that much. I did plan on doing it by myself, but I just couldn't. Now she's giving me the cold shoulder. Am I the asshole? I was really with you until the end. I think it's borderline, to be honest, but I kind of see it like, I get that you were like, oh, the clothes aren't like folded the way I like it, huh? Well, I'll just redo it, like it's not a big deal. The one thing that I was already shaky on is saying why. Like, I think if you ask someone why they didn't do something in a particular way that you like it, it implies that they should know better and that they should have done it that way. Unless maybe I'm just reading too much into it and he was like, oh, how come they're not rolled? Rather than being like, why are these not rolled? You know, like maybe it was just like, just whatever, very casual. I think it's good that he was like, oh, it's fine, I'll just roll them myself, you know, no big deal. And I can understand that, put the clothes in the bed and then was like, oh fuck, I need to go and work on that presentation actually. Yeah, let me go do that. But then by leaving the clothes out on the bed, that implies that you want her to walk in and see them and do it the right way. What I would have done in that situation is either just to be like, but I want them done this way, so let me just do it real quick and then I'll go do my presentation. Or, fuck, I don't have time. And then I would bundle them all up and put them back in the basket. By leaving stuff out, it already implies that you expect someone else to take care of it. Then when she came in to ask about it and you said, can you do it? I can understand how she was like, excuse me? Because it's like, I think saying like, oh shit, sorry, I was going to do it, but then I just got busy. Like, would you mind, like, sorry, would it be okay for you, like, to do it? That's just asking someone for a favour and they're allowed to say no. And if you said, well, I've got this other stuff to do, if you're okay with them saying no, then just be like, okay, I'll just deal with it like later or tomorrow or something. Thanks anyway. Then I think that's fine. But it's the way you elaborate. It's the way you elaborate by being like, I provide for her and our children. I don't think it's too much to ask. I feel like it's interesting that you would use the word privileged because that sounds to me very unprivileged, very entitled, very expectant. And I think that it's one thing to say, I'm going to be a stay-at-home parent. It's another thing to say, and that means I'm also the housekeeper. Do you know what I mean? Because parenting is a full-time job. It doesn't mean that just because you're at home that you're not working and that you can just do everything else. And equally, like when the two of you are both at home and you need to still keep working on something else, maybe she also needs to work on something else. Maybe she needs to bath the kids, put them to bed. Do you know what I mean? So I was really with you until the end, and it was the elaboration that made it unambiguous in terms of the attitude there, and I can see why people tipped it over to being the asshole. As I say, I think it's kind of borderline, and had you not said that, I think it would, whatever. But yeah, I'm very particular about that kind of thing. Like, from when I was very, very young, I can't even remember, like, ever not washing my own clothes and putting them away. I don't like people touching my stuff. Being neurodivergent, I'm very particular about these things. Like, I want, and to some extent actually need them to be in a certain way, in a certain place, whatever, in order to be able to sort of do things in a non-struggling or struggling less kind of way. But those are my particularities, and I don't expect anyone else to do those things. There are some people in my life, for example, my partner, who's super, super sweet and will do things the way that I like them because he knows that it doesn't matter to him, but it matters to me. But I would never expect someone else to do that because like it's not their like issue. It would be very nice, it would be extremely accommodating, but if it's just, we're just talking about someone who's like, I provide for the family, this isn't too much to ask. Nah, bro. Nah. Anyway, I've gone on about laundry long enough, I think. Good. I'm glad then that this one was a little bit more casual, a little bit more laid back in comparison to the last video that we made, because I wasn't expecting the level of like, not even just realness in that, but just like, oh my god, maybe it was the mood I was in as well, but I just felt like there was just all kinds of stuff there that was like hitting me hard. So I'm glad that this one was a bit better, and then hopefully when I make the next video I'm not going to be so hesitant to do it, because you know, it's been a bit better now. So I hope that you enjoyed that as well. As I say, if you do decide to watch the last video, please just make sure you check out the content warning first. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out some other videos here if you would like. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good day. Bye. Bye 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 bye.